we got trolled by these guys, and they were kind of like chirping us, who are these Canadian dudes, like all this like weird stuff. And like, come on, like we're a Twitter handle, we're like a tiny company, we're a Twitter handle with like 300 followers. Anyway, so I go to a conference down in Florida, and the guy's there, like the booth of the there was another company, and like the founder of that company was the guy chirping us. So I just go right up to him, like, real life, motherfucker. Like, okay.
Money folding, hustle smart, dream so wild, turn that grind into a joyride.
Okay. All right. I want to talk about social media ads. So listening to Prof G Pod, really good. Really I like actually, it's the whole like pivot ecosystem.
Yeah.
But I like the one that's about, or his office hours, effectively. It's really short. It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But he answers a couple questions. It's kind of cool because it's like real. And I think he really likes it too.
Okay.
That's my hot take. Anyway, so one guy a week ago asked a question that was like, okay, I'm an e-commerce business. I have these ads on Facebook. I'm getting clicks, but these like some conversions. But a lot of the clicks that are on this ad are bots, okay?
Yeah.
And other things that are on the platform. Is this fraudulent? Does social media ads, do they actually work or not? And we can talk about what Prof G said too. But what, and by the way, that's Scott Galloway for anybody who's not familiar. Just an amazing person. Check it out. So like I wanted to tackle this because you and I have had an interesting experience, I think, with social media advertising too. So maybe we can start with our own story, and I'll talk a little bit about our YouTube experience.
Yeah, you should probably also set the table that, like, for our actual business, starting podcasts and things like that.
Yeah,
we did almost none. Okay, we are newbies.
Turns out chiefs of police do not go on TikTok to buy a campus mobile safety app. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we are complete newbies at social media advertising, that whole landscape.
In fact, I didn't think it was very important.
Yeah, it wasn't important for business.
We had like a Twitter handle, I think, and like a blog, and we didn't, but we got no. And I don't think it was like a lack of effort. Like for a while, we had a dedicated blog person, and we're trying to do inbound and all that kind of stuff, and that, which is a little bit different from social, like admittedly, but like we got nothing through. So the only thing that happened on Twitter is we would get trolled.
Right.
That's the big, when we won a really big deal, somebody would troll us. I remember one time, I never told you this. One time, so there were these guys, we won this big deal in Florida for the Fortify Florida app. Yeah. But we got trolled by these guys, and they were kind of like chirping us, who are these Canadian dudes, like all this like weird stuff. And like, come on, like we're a Twitter handle, we're like a tiny company, we're a Twitter handle with like 300 followers. Like this is like how desperate are you, bro? Anyway, so I go to a conference down in Florida, and the guy's there, like the booth of the there was another company, and like the founder of that company was the guy chirping us. So I just go right up to him, like, real life, motherfucker. Like, boom. Okay. I'm like, yeah, seemed like he had a lot of problems with us, and he's just backpedaling as hard as he can. Well, I'm really intimidating.
Yeah. Well, you're a good guy, Dave.
As a specimen, I'm quite intimidating. So anyway, yeah, but
wow, good on you for doing that.
Because like that's garbage. You know what I mean? Like that
is the ultimate power move when somebody chirps you or something like that on social media.
Go
right up to them in person and talk to them and be like, yeah, what's going on?
I know we're still talking about social media, but it reminds me of something else when we were kids, where you and I were playing soccer at I can't remember, some soccer field near our house in Kingston.
Yeah.
And we were playing together, it was just you and me. It was on one of those big nets, and these two other guys came over.
Oh, I remember this.
And you went, and you were like not in clearly you spotted stranger danger, and I'm just a kid, so I have no idea. I was probably like 10, you were probably 20. Yeah. And I remember you going like right up to that guy and just being like I don't know what you said, but probably something like to the tune of get the fuck out of here. And they pieced out, and it was like, whoa, Chris is intense. But that's where I learned some of that stuff. You were very hot and cold. You're either like, hey, I'm happy to see you, or I will fight you.
Yeah, I've only had my blood boil a couple of times, but I do remember that. And I was just like, we were like, two brothers playing in the soccer field with nobody around. Two random guys come in and start hassling us. And I'm just, I'm not
you were not down for that.
I'm just not dealing with this right now. And, it was like two teenagers that were like, bean poles,
tiny,
and it was just like, no, I'm just going to intimidate these guys to get them to like screw off. And
we were not down for a game of fours.
Yeah. And I'm not a big guy, but I was just like, no, I think I could take these guys.
Yeah.
I think I could take these guys.
I think that's like the default male thing. when you meet, this sounds really weird, but when you meet a new person, you're like, could I fight them? And could I fight them and win? You know what I mean? Like, anyway, like Graham, I think I can take. Right, Graham? Okay, sorry. Actually, I think Graham has got a pretty big left hook. But anyway, we'll see. We'll find out right after this episode today. Oh, didn't see you there. I'm just reading Startup Different, my book to help you get to your multi-million-dollar business. You can find it on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. Okay, back to social media. So anyway, this guy calls in and thinks it's basically like a scam. Okay, and Prof G, it really tries to push on him that like, no, actually, it's legit. It's complicated but legit. And I think this is what's weird about this market is that, or about advertising on social, is that it really, really depends on what you're selling and and the way in which you're creating your advertisements and this kind of stuff. So going back to our YouTube story, which we never completed, I'll just say that what we're talking about there is promotions of YouTube videos, which is actually, I think, fundamentally different. We found that to be not so great. You could get views, really, really low retention rate. It's like anybody to look at it. And we found that getting more subscribers didn't actually lead to more views of the videos. Right. So it was kind of like maybe our metrics are wrong there. We assumed
that subscribers means that people are subscribing and getting notifications
regular,
of
how a rented list, I think is what this is called, right? Because it's a list of people that is owned by the platform, but that we can notify of what's happening. But we just found we weren't getting any traction doing that. Right. Yeah. And so, I actually remain committed, and again, prove me wrong, YouTube, that these are mostly bots that subscribe to us.
I found there was a tool that was really just looked like some, graduate student had just put up that kind of like analyzed your YouTube channels. There are commercial versions of this that you have to pay for but I was like being super cheap. So I'm like, I kept going through many pages of Google results until I found one that was actually doing, and I ran it. And huge portion of our subscribers it thought were bots.
Right.
So we were like,
it's really deflating. And the other thing that was weird about it too, and this is usually a red flag for social media, if you go to a company and they say, we guarantee you a certain number of people will subscribe to your thing, that's usually a sign they're selling likes and they're selling bots, which violates terms of service, among other things, but it's also just bad. It's just a waste of money. These aren't real people, right? It happens on Instagram too. It's not just YouTube, whatever. Anyway, but I kind of got thinking about this and I wanted to attack this a little bit more. So let's switch from YouTube here to more like Meta. So we're going to stick with Facebook ads and, for the millennials in the house, and to, sort of Instagram and maybe to a lesser extent TikTok. But I guess all these ads feel like scams, but if you don't do any ads, it kind of feels like no growth.
Right. Like you got to do some sort of promotion. Right?
Like I think organic growth, we had an episode a long time ago. Remember we Nathan Young?
Yep.
We asked him about, by the way, really interesting agency. Check out his stuff. But we asked him, is organic growth dead? And I don't think, and his point, it's like kind of, I think was kind of what he said, but it's just really challenging.
He said too, though, like any marketing channel can work. Okay. But I struggle with that because
yes and no. But I think the point of you don't want just any ad channel. You want an ad channel that's most efficient. And he'd say that too. Right. But I think like if it's really, really inefficient, I think that's a sign it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What's that term? ROAS?
Return on ad spend? Yeah. That's a good one.
So, when you're looking at a marketing channel, you want to be like, okay, look, like, does it make more money than it costs? And a lot of times you're like, nope.
Right.
It costs more than it makes.
So let's talk about this. So the return is really important. Let's start with conversion rates. So I got some data here in front of me, just from some of the research before the show. So what do you think for the average ad on social media? What do you think the conversion rate is generally?
Less than 1%.
Yeah. So it's approximately 9%. It's super high. Yeah. Super high conversion rate. And usually your cost per click is about $1.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah. I just got to put something out there. Okay.
Hit me.
If I see 100 ads today, I will definitely see 100 ads today on whatever, social media, wherever, on my just news feeds, things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not clicking on 9%.
I mean, there's a function of targeting here. There's a function of how good the ads are.
Right.
There's a function. Well, if you see 100, there's no way you're clicking 9 ads. But I don't know if you're going to see 9 ads in a day. Maybe you would. I don't know. Yeah, good call. But this is what the data's telling me.
Who's that?
Of course. Well,
highly reputable
Meta's. Yeah, the good folks at Meta. I'll get another story on that after, actually. But so it says it's supposed to be around approximately 9%. All right, whatever. Average about $1 cost per click, and they say about 4 to 5 times return on investment for a lot of these ad campaigns. Now I'm going to dig more into this in a second because you need to know more. The other thing though that was kind of interesting is that about a third, a little bit over a third, about 37% is wasted. So what'll happen is you get a conversion, the person goes to your website and they don't do the thing, or they're directed to a bad incorrect link. Page, bad link.
Oh, really?
So there's a huge percentage of it that's just garbage.
Yikes.
So there is something to be said here, like, you can definitely spin up some ads, but how well you're converting them like past the ad, getting them to purchase the product or whatever is still kind of tricky. So that's one thing I want to say. The other thing that was important here too is that the nature of the products that do well. So effectively anything that's like lower than like $100, this is what the data says, it tends to do better. It just tends to have a bigger likelihood of selling. Where you're going to get lower conversion rates or even interest is on like SaaS products. So you get to like 2%, range for 2 to 3-4% conversion rates on SaaS products through these platforms. So basically, it's like if you're selling something cheap and you're on social media, it's a good place to be. You're probably going to do pretty okay. If you're trying to sell something a bit more complicated, it's not as great. There's a heavy CAC cost, customer acquisition cost, to getting people onto the SaaS platform that you're trying to push.
All right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah. And just if I can confirm something. So when you said that 9% and that's the conversion rate, and just for us, like, I'm on the software development side. I don't do a lot of this marketing stuff. Conversion means they bought the thing. So,
or depends on the metrics of the campaign.
Okay.
Some conversion rates are based on like driving website views or driving other things. So it's a broader category than a purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think what it's trying to say is that you're going to do better on cheaper products and on things, and you're more likely to get a purchase in that. That's what you're pushing. Usually. Yeah,
because I think about it myself. It's like low risk. Oh, I saw this thing online. It looks kind of interesting.
But we've all ordered something from like Facebook or Instagram.
That's like weird.
That like we're like, oh, that's sick.
Do you remember that like floating spinning planter thing?
Still got it. Yeah. My the 2 magnet thing, and it spins, and I don't really use it as much anymore. I bought a lot of shit on Facebook, to be honest. There's this like circle thing that when you spin it, you can.
Oh, I saw that.
You see the ad, the ad with it. Okay, so you think about that ad.
Yeah, your daughter showed it to me, actually.
Yeah. But have you ever seen the actual ad for that product?
No.
Okay, so for folks at home, just for visualization, so it's basically like a circle thing with like the sand in it. It's like multicolored. It's kind of like an hourglass.
Right?
Yeah. Kind of like an hourglass, but you spin it over. It's a lot thinner. You spin it over, and it makes a beautiful like design, and it's kind of cool. Every time it's like a little bit different. So the ad for it though is this guy spinning one that's like the size of like a 75-inch TV that's a circle spinning it. You're like, whoa, that's sick. And then you look it up online. You're like, I'm gonna get one. And you're like, oh my god, it's only $60. This is great. And then you get it, and it's about the size of your hand. So it's like, shit. But it was still kind of cool. I gave it to my wife.
Fooled you.
Yeah. But it's like when you order it on Wish or whatever, right? Like whenever you get that shit. But anyway, it's a cool product. But anyways, I get hit with these things, and like I actually think. Yeah, like sometimes I do buy the stupid thing. Stupid shirts. I buy a lot on Facebook.
So what you're saying is like the social media advertising actually does work for these types of products that are low cost. Like what's the formula here?
So there's one other element to this that's really important.
Okay.
Which is the actual quality of the advertisement. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, so you have to have the fake, big, huge thing and then ship the small.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, sort of. Let's hang on. Let me ask you this question. So what do you think does better? Is it a hype, like the hype advertisement, like this is awesome, this is the biggest thing, this is happening, this is really big energy, kind of big deck energy? Or is it the honesty, authentic, we're starting out, this is a cool new thing, not many people have tried it. What do you think does better?
Hype.
Hype
like,
kills.
Man, remember those like oil of oregano ads where the people would be like, like, yo, like people who have like cancer and all these things. Yeah, there's this one thing that like solves it all. And it's like selling out like right now, and smash that order button right now. There's only a bit left, and it's oil of oregano or something like that.
That stuff's nasty, by the way. Have you ever actually had that?
No.
Of course I've ordered it. So if you well, I did. My wife did. And actually I remember going to a conference years ago. Tell my good friend David Perry at one of these shows, we got talking, and he's like, yeah, my wife got this thing, whenever I get sick, I have to like put it under my tongue or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, it's oil of oregano, isn't it? He's like, yeah, it burns. And it does. It is hot fire. And honestly, it is like if you took like the most concentrated part of garlic and then you shoved it in your nose. That's what this feels like. It is fire in your mouth. And if you get it on your throat, and not like not like the Gen Z like fire, like this is like actual fire. It hurts. But I guess it kind of felt better. I find it really disgusting. I stopped doing it. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Okay, Anna can do it because she's a champ, but I can't do it. Right. Anyway, so basically platforms reward the former, the hype vibe, that big energy. So you have a product, it's less than $100. You're gonna see decent conversion rates. You will get some bot clicks on those conversion rates, but like it's okay, I guess. Still works out. You're gonna have probably a 4 to 5 times like ROI on that. Okay. And it's all about these hype heavy, this is the next big thing, get on the bandwagon with everybody else kind of vibe. Okay. And so I thought that was really interesting because that's just not how I think I would do it. And it's partially,
I wouldn't do it.
Like when I think about this pod, for example, like we didn't come out and say, hey, you're going to be rich as fuck if you listen to this podcast. Like we didn't. We did not promise that, right? No. We're like, hey, by the way, there's some startup myths out there. Watch out for them.
And by the way, here's a whole bunch of ways we made some big mistakes.
Like we're all about humility.
Maybe don't do
We're
those.
doing this wrong. I need to wear a big chain, like come in, just put $100,000 into a chain. But anyway, so like, I thought that was kind of fascinating. So I don't know. That conversion rate is really what stunned me. And when we go back to Prof G, I think that's why he was so into it as well. I think he was like, oh no, it works. Like it really, really works.
Now, do you think he uses it to grow his listener base?
I don't know, because it's a pod. And also, I don't even know if he needs to advertise anymore.
But he's been at it for a long time, right?
Right.
So,
right.
Like, and he's got books, and he's like, I think he's kind of parlayed one thing to the next.
He's one of the only people that I've listened to on another pod and been like, I want to listen to his pod. Yeah. That almost never happens, even though everybody in podcasting says that's how you get people to listen to your stuff, which I'm not sure that's true. But for that would be the one time when I did that. Every other time it's been somebody being like, oh, hey, I listened to this really cool pod. You should check it out too. Huh. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, cool. But and then I wanted one other thing here too. I was wondering, what, like, if you had a product that was like under $100. One thing I was wondering, this is probably folks listening today, wondering, okay, so I have this idea. It's an e-commerce thing. I've got my Spotify store set up. I'm going to do social ads. How much should I spend to trial this out? And I thought this was a good tactical question. So basically the rule of thumb for a lot of this is that your customer acquisition cost of your product should be about 20 to 30% of the product's price. So if you're selling something for $100, just make this easy. Okay. You would be putting $20 to $30 in ads would be required to sell the $100 item. That's acceptable. So it could eat a lot into your margin depending on the type of product you have. And most direct to consumer brands start testing with about $1,000 to $3,000 a month on social. Huh. Okay. So that might be straight not doable for a lot of people. We haven't even hit the influencer piece here either. Like sending free stuff to influencers or paying influencers to look at it or whatever. Right. And I think that's probably also a valid channel in some cases. But I'll be honest, like I would be wanting to use that tool you suggested early on, which is able to detect of somebody's base. Like, so they have a 500,000 subs on, I don't know, Instagram. I'd want to know how many of those are bots.
Okay. So, you know what I mean? Flipping back to YouTube for a second. Yeah. We were concerned about bots on YouTube because we felt like our subscribers were, like the actual listeners was a much smaller number than what our subscriber count was. So we're thinking like bots. There's got to be a lot of bots here. I ran that tool. Didn't you email out to YouTube and ask them about it?
Yeah. I said to you, so apparently, I think a lot of the platforms use. I actually heard a few years ago, LinkedIn did a purge of like something like 28 million accounts. Really? That were all just bots, which doesn't surprise me if you've been on LinkedIn. I think the bots are back and they're pissed. But anyway, So when I asked YouTube, I said, hey, yeah, can you purge our account? Can you purge the people that aren't real? And they basically like, no. Okay. And they did say that they do a regular purge every once in a while.
They do, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, but like just running through this with me, we've spent money on ads with you. Like I try to like logically like lay it out. Why would we spend ads on you, YouTube, so that you could then drive people to watch with and engage and hopefully like our stuff? Yeah. And like, mind you, like there's as great as I think our show is, I'm sure that there's some people who watch it and are like, I don't care. But some people might get into it. But what we found is it just doesn't happen. Like, no, even if you spend like really big bucks and you get like a lot of views, the end game isn't like that much retention.
Right.
And I think that's a really complicated
highly
problem.
Suspect.
But I think some of it are bots. Like if you just look at these accounts, they don't like any other they're not subbed to anything else.
Yeah.
They have like no videos.
Yeah.
They don't really have an image, or they have an obviously AI generated image. And you're just like, this is garbage.
Yeah. Or the name is like some random set of like letters and a couple of numbers, like it just all very like spammy, looking stuff. Yeah. I don't know.
So I think it's complicated, but I guess what I was, on the one hand, I was reassured to hear that it does actually kind of work. Like it can actually work.
Yeah. So it's not a lost cause.
Yeah.
It's maybe that, if it's not working that well, the product has to be better.
Yeah. Or the message has to be better, and then that's when you get into that iterative loop, the MVP, that all the kind of stuff. And I think for that what I was referencing earlier, that $1,000 to $3,000 in like monthly spend, by the way, that's just to like pilot. That's just to understand if you're going to get there. I actually read a few stories in the research for this that was like people who had like a really good idea for a product and a really good idea for an ad.
Yeah.
And they would just run the ad before they had any other infrastructure.
I love it. Yeah.
Kind of like, I mean, at what point is it fraud? But anyway, so, and they did, so they would, there was one guy who put up an ad for like $500.
Yeah.
And he got like actual sales for this thing that he had an idea for. And then all of a sudden he's like scrambling to find suppliers to do it. Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of cool, but it's also kind of like,
but that's the problem. So like, what do you do if you run a test like that? And let's say you get like a handful of sales. You don't get hundreds. You just get like
Land of the Living Dead,
Like, what do you do? Do you then just go, we're just going to give you your money back?
No, I think you sell it. I think you give those people the product, and that becomes like
you have no product. So how are you going to, like, are you going to go make 5 of this thing? And then,
I mean, like maybe it depends. Like what kind of hustle are we talking about here? Like for some people, this is, I think a lot of people, I don't know, question mark, would do an e-commerce business on the side because there's not actually that many barriers to entry anymore.
Right.
Between all the different AI tools to like make your advertising, even all these collaterals to, if you understand how to use Shopify, if you like actually do running ads is actually kind of complicated. Those platforms are so convoluted no matter what you're using, but whatever, you figure that out and you do it. Like I think for a lot of people, if they got a couple of sales, they'd be like, cool, I'm onto something.
Right.
And I think that's what you're trying to validate, right? And I think you stay really tight to those customers. As soon as you sell it to them, you send them like an email from like you being like, hey, I'm the founder of whatever this is. Can you tell me what you thought of the product? Where did it come up short? What do you want more? Get more from them.
Okay.
Right.
So like if we were to kind of net this out and, conclude this episode, like what are your tips for somebody who's, going to go and dive into the world of social media marketing?
Sell your product, have a product.
Yeah.
Sell your product for less than $100.
Yeah.
Have an ad that's about like your, the big hype ad,
like engaging, put time into the ad. Yeah.
Yeah. And not like, we're humble roots, like humble pie. Don't do that. Do like, this is the next big thing and you could miss out.
Right. And then test it. I'm assuming
test it out,
like on a small
be willing
scale.
to put a couple grand into testing it over a month.
Yeah.
And if you do get some sales, if you don't get many sales, then consider what that means. Maybe stop that test. Try to connect with those customers you sold to and figure out what happened.
Yeah.
And figure out how you can better tailor the product. It's challenging. I mean, that is the nuance of any consumer product, though. At least the market's enormous.
Yeah.
Like you can keep trying till you find your target. Right.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's where we land on that.
Awesome.
Any other social media comments?
You
love social media.
I hate social media. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's cool.
No, I don't mind LinkedIn actually, but
why?
I don't know. I just feel like it's businessy. It seems more. I'm getting
There's
some
so
value
much bullshit
from it
though on there too. So much of it's like these weird diagrams that are like, or charts or infographics that are just like everybody, all the big influencers do them now, and I'm just like, I don't think these are that valuable anymore because everybody does them.
Sometimes you find a nugget that you can use and go back and use it in your business, and that's good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I scroll for a little bit, and then give it some likes.
Yeah.
And then
Toss a like around.
Yeah.
All right,
exactly.
Cool. All right. Well,
Cool.
That's our pod on social media. Peace out. A-Town.
Start it up. Let's get it rolling. Big ideas, money folding. Hustle smart, dream so wild. Turn that grind into a joyride.